could almost call this, well, is my cluster balanced or not, and how balanced is my cluster? Now, the current host load standard deviation is an actual real-time number that is gathered by viewing the different resources and their utilization by those virtual machines. So this is going to change every time that the cluster goes about doing a rebalancing activity. The target host load standard deviation, however, is something that you can actually configure on your DRS cluster. If I right-click here and choose Edit Settings and go back in here to Vsphere DRS, remember back when we determined whether it was going to be a partially automated or fully automated cluster, and that we had this migration threshold here for setting it between conservative and aggressive? If I move this setting here from one setting to another, I'm actually going to change the target host load standard deviation from one to another. What this does is it says that by increasing the standard deviation, that means I have more tolerance of how imbalanced my cluster can be. So if you want to adjust your cluster to be a little bit more aggressive with its load balancing, you're actually going to go and change this value a bit for how the target and the current host load standard deviation are related to each other. If you find that you're doing your DRS is doing too many load balancing activities or doing too many vMotions in order to accomplish what it needs to, well, then that means you probably might want to go back into your cluster settings and set it to be a little bit more conservative. So what have we talked about in this nugget? We've talked about just really some of those basic troubleshooting tasks. And again, I pointed you to that troubleshooting document because it really is your best resource for all of the different types of troubleshooting activities that you need to be aware of. Obviously, maintaining and ensuring that you have the right configurations across all of the different hosts in your environment is absolutely and fundamentally important. But then also understanding how the different configurations interrelate with each other can be useful. And that guide provides a lot of detail for you. And then from there, we went through some of the different troubleshooting functionalities and features that ESXi and vCenter both have for you, both at the ESXi level here with system logs and those troubleshooting mode options, and then also at the vCenter later with this diagnostic information and the packages that you can create and submit to VMware. We then spent a little bit of time here with the DRS resource distribution graph and those target and current host load standard deviation metrics, and then ultimately talked a little bit about those vMotion resource maps because, as I said before, maps are just cool. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.